Roddy Piper, A&E Biography just came out. We were talking about it a few minutes before. How did that whole process come about, and what was your reaction to the piece itself?
Well, there was a fellow that contacted me from New Jersey, and he was like independent for WWE, but he was still working with them, and said he was interested in coming out to my house in Vegas, and he was also, at the time, Roddy Piper's wife was living in Las Vegas too, so that was done 2.5 years ago, before the pandemic started and shut everything down. So they recorded all that stuff. I was out here only about 6 months in Vegas because I moved out of Florida, been there for 30 some years. So I was brand new to Vegas, and he came out and recorded all this. So that's 2.5 years ago. And now the biography is on A&E finally. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm doing that's coming out, but with those people. But with that one guy from New Jersey, it finally came out. I think it started on the 24th of April, yeah. Maybe March, I don't know, April.
So they came in, they did the interview. I saw they had the shot where they set you up and
Right.
you were watching the dog collar match back and everything like that.
Yeah, they brought out their own DVD. I had them, but so, you know, it was wild watching that. I've watched it before, but I kind of stay away from it because it's such a brutal match. And we were so young and so dedicated, and Piper was such a great guy, and he let me, you know, I always worked stiff, and he put up with it. And of course he beat me hard too. So you could see that there was no pulled punches, and you're working with a truck tire chain where they wrap around. I mean, God, this chain was huge. And then, of course, the dog collar and the fur that he stuck in there. What was really unusual, people think that, you know, you plan all this stuff out. We did. We talked about it for 20 minutes. He snuck over to my side of the dressing room in Greensboro Coliseum. We were separated. Good guys, this the heels over here. 20 minutes we talked it over. Just a few spots where we jerked a chain like that. The rest of it, swear to God, all ad-lib, period. We didn't even, we knew who was going to win it. He was going to go over. It was a U.S. title match, but my belt wasn't on the line. And it was really the whole thing, plus the finish was ad-lib too. We went for it. So,
Did you guys plan for something different before that, and then you heard the fans and you switched it up on the fly, or do you remember how that worked out?
I guess so. You know, it's hard to listen to the fans when you're, you know, I'd look at them like in matches with a slower pace to it, but this is like constant going, so you're not really listening to the fans, because you know the fans are going to explode with this thing too, because he's bleeding and I'm bleeding and I'm beating on his ear, and so it was just a brutal match. I don't know how long it lasted, 45 minutes maybe, 40 minutes. Oh my God. So all my matches back, especially in the NWA Mid-Atlantic area, there were always hour-long matches or 45 minutes or something. I never went out there for 10 or 20 minutes unless it was on television. Back then we had studio wrestling, and we also did TV shows out of different, like Spartanburg. There was an auditorium there, and it looked good on television, but shorter matches on television, of course, because you only got an hour max, you know.
When you relived that match and you watched it back, and then you saw the piece that they ended up doing for Piper when it was all packaged and put together,
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction to the biography itself? How accurate was it? You know, what did you think of it?
Well, of course, I wanted my part to be longer, But I guess it was long enough. I mean, it was covered good. I just thought it would have been longer but then they had Piper's daughters with segments and his wife with segments. So I understand how they pieced it together. But, I felt my part was initially a good part. Like I said, it should have been longer.
Can you take us back to that first Starrcade? It was, really the first of its kind at the time. And,
Yeah.
You guys were basically the feature aside from the Flair and Harley Race.
Flair for the Gold was the main event, and it was a double main event, and they had some tag team matches there too. It was a good card from top to bottom. We knew that this is before WrestleMania 1, so this is the very first time. Now, it wasn't beamed to the homes because homes weren't getting this kind of stuff yet, but you had to go to like a theater, or like in Charlotte, there was a place called Park Center, and different places, different venues where it would be broadcast, with a satellite, how they did back then. And it was all over the Mid-Atlantic and Virginia and Georgia, and West Virginia, and parts of New York. A lot of people got it. So it was beamed out. First ever pay-per-view type thing before WrestleMania 1, Starrcade 83. First one ever. And it was a big thrill, you realize that you got instead of just 20,000 people in the Greensboro Coliseum, you've got 1 million people. Or I don't know what it figured out to be eventually, but it was huge numbers.